All right, what's going on, ladies and gents? Welcome to LogiCast, the Logical Gamers podcast. It's your boy Esoteric, and I'm here with BlankaKong, Gunna Eos, and Hado Wolf. And today we're going to be talking about the update to Monster Hunter Rise, the expansion, Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. We're going to talk about all the things that were implemented, all the things that we liked, the potential additional content that will be adding on this August, all the new features we had, the gameplay, the additional tools that were utilized in which for us to progress through the game, and then some. Um, I'm just going to, generalize a couple of things since I'm, currently speaking. But I did feel that we got a lot of shit for this expansion. We got, of course, we got the, G rank, aka Master rank. Um, we got some additional monsters who were much better than the original catalog of monsters that we had prior. We had some brand new quests, which I really do enjoy. They're called survey quests and follower quests, where you have additional NPCs joining you on the hunt. Um, we have, you know, which I'm pretty sure the gunner is going to speak on more. We have new layer armor sets. It's a whole lot of shit that we have. Um, so yeah, I'm going to elaborate more later on. But what sticks out for you guys that this particular expansion provided us?
Endgame existed, was a thing. This
Wait,
game,
wait.
I mean,
What did you say?
oh, it- Endgame existed,
Oh, okay, yeah.
base Rise, where it was just Narwa and that's it. Good
Her
map.
boyfriend.
You know what? I keep forgetting about that guy because he was part of the oh so great Rampage mechanic that they introduced in Rise. Which kudos for you know trying something new. It's I think us here, and the majority of the Monster Hunter fan base didn't care for it much because it didn't make a return. So if people loved it, it would have been in Sunbreak, but it wasn't. My biggest issue with Rise was that the game was super front loaded. What I mean by that is that there was tons of stuff to do while you were ranking up. All the new monsters for Rise were shown off in the rank up process. The subspecies were shown off in the rank up process, and the story was super front loaded. So when you finished the game, it was just Narwa, and they literally left you on a cliffhanger until an update some months later that concluded the story. I guess with All Mother. So the difference between Rise and Sunbreak was that Sunbreak felt like a Monster Hunter from yesteryear. It felt like four, it felt like two, it felt like generations where the content and the ramping up was paced from the start of G rank. Sorry for any confusion. I'm gonna call it G rank. It's master rank. I'm just an old head, so I know it as G
Same,
rank.
same.
Yeah. So G rank started off with you're fighting the same monsters, but they're G rank. Then we ramp it up to some of the newer ones. Then we ramp it up to the subspecies, the Elder Dragons, and then the new shiny, Malzinos and Lunagorons. And then, Endgame is just content. It's fight these elders, fight G rank elders. Then you get the afflicted quests. Then you have afflicted 1 star to 4 star. You have that all those monsters in between, which are the same monsters, granted, but they have new
Actual
mechanics.
old, yeah, those things
Yeah,
are great.
that
Right.
shit felt like it felt like the expedition quest as you leveled those up.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it felt
So
ridiculous.
the fact that that was all at the end, I had meaty end game to go into. That's when you start finalizing your armor sets. You realistically, for a lot of weapons, you can't upgrade until master rank 100. So you get the new version of uh his name is Mango to me because
Oh,
it's Magnamalo.
yeah, Scorned, I think
Yeah,
was the
Scorn
name.
Magnamalo. Yeah, he's your reward for Master Rank 100. So like you have to get from Master Rank 1 to 100 before you quote unquote finish Sunbreak. And even then, finishing is dependent on how many weapons you use, armor sets you want to make, and so on. So to wrap up my thing, the fact that Sunbreak had endgame as opposed to Rise's bare
No
bones
game.
in game, yeah, no game, yeah, is already sets the game on a higher pedestal for me personally. So I got more stuff, but we're gonna pass it around. So anybody want to take the ball, I'll throw it to you.
What do you think, Kong?
So I haven't gotten all the way to endgame. Like I've unlocked the anomaly quest, but I haven't had a chance to play a lot of it yet. So I'm still working my way through it. But to Gunner's point and to Esoteric's point, the game has better tempo. Like just
Yeah.
across the board, it has better tempo, and the content is spread out accordingly, which is great. And the returning monsters that they decided to add to the roster, I'm fine with. Right, a lot of them we talked about in a previous episode, and a lot of those monsters actually showed up from
Yeah,
Monster Hunter
funny
4
enough.
Ultimate. Funny enough, so that was pretty sick. I don't know if I'm like as jazzed as the rest of you guys. Like I think the game is fine, but it didn't knock my socks off. I enjoyed it for what it was, but it didn't, it didn't replace Monster Hunter World Iceborne, for example. Like it didn't outdo
Yeah.
that game.
Hmm.
Not that it needed to, but it didn't. In my personal opinion, even though I thought this was a great expansion, but the base Rise game had left such a just
Bad
disappointing
taste.
taste in my mouth that like I went in with very very tempered expectations. But so far I've been very satisfied with the content, and the roadmap for future updates looks really promising. So I'm really excited to engage in that stuff, and I'm really excited to like get through the end game here and play through the anomaly quest and do all that stuff. So I'm still working my way through it. Just been busier than usual, and yeah, I if I had to give it like a score, an arbitrary score, I would give it like an easy 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, that
I
makes
can
sense.
agree with that.
That makes sense. I mean, I would say comparatively speaking, if you're gonna compare it from base Rise to expansion Rise, they did a significantly better job of the roster, the things that they produced for us, and a couple of the new features. But yeah, I would agree. If you were to compare it across Monster Hunters or just the OG new generation Monster Hunter World to Rise, Monster Hunter World definitely blows it out of the water. Um, there's a couple of things as well. Like the roster was, buffed up a tad bit, but it wasn't a lot that was really introduced to the roster that were like new monsters per se. I think we only got maybe five. We got like the four monsters that were introduced, and they were inspired through like the traditional monsters like Frankenstein, Dracula, and so on. It was Garangome, Malzeno, uh, what's his name? Ludagaron, and was there a fourth one? I don't remember.
Yeah, the final boss. Spoiler alert. Guys,
Oh
guys
yeah,
something.
As Magorm.
Guys
Guys
Magorm.
McGorm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, and then I guess if you're gonna include the subspecies, roughly around in terms of new monsters, maybe 7, 8, I think. Um,
So
I gotta check
Bishutan,
that.
Bishutan. I don't think Aknasom got one. It was Bishutan. Who else got a subspecies?
Aurora Canth, that's another one.
Aurora
Um,
Canth or Salmonacanths
yeah,
subspecies. Those two for sure. I don't think Gosfara got one.
No, but what's his name got one? The Leviathan.
A Moldron, which
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the name of the subspecies, but a Moldron got one, and Rakana Kadaki got one. So that's 4.
Yeah.
I don't think any of the other Rise monsters got a subspecies. Actually, Magnamalo, Scorn Magnamalo,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
that's 5. So that's 5 plus the 4 new monsters. So 9, air quotes, new monsters. Which I'm fine with, right? Because we got some returning monsters. We got the Daimyo Hermitor and the Cianatar. We got Gormagala. We got who else?
Cigar.
Seregios. We got a
Yeah.
lot of stuff. The content, there's a lot of content there, and I think they struck a good balance because there have been past Monster Hunter games that they would stuff it with content, and then monsters would get overshadowed because it's just you can only make the armors and weapons as balanced as your roster is deep. So I think they had a good. This was a good roster. Like it was fair. Like it wasn't too much and it wasn't too little. I think they hit it just right. My
Yeah,
opinion.
funny you mentioned that because I think that was a problem with Generations.
Oh yeah.
Because Generations was like the Smash Ultimate of Monster Hunter. Like
Mm-hmm.
fucking everybody was here. The meme. So a lot of when it was hard to appreciate Red Kezu coming back when you had fucking Gormagala, Chaos Gormagala, Shigaru Magala, and fucking both versions of Agnator and so on and so on to look forward to. So there is, as the saying goes, there is such a thing as too much of a good thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think this one, like you said, was a good balance where you had some returning monsters for the nostalgia, and then for the new hunters, it's like, what the fuck's a Gormagala? What is edgy Batman looking thing? So it's good for the new guys, the new kids on the block, and for the old guys, it's like, oh shit, Gormagala, didn't think I'd see you again.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. I thought he was gonna just remain on his flagship game.
I
So
didn't think we were going to see Seregios again, personally. I thought he was going to live and die on 4.
So Wolf,
uh,
I don't think you
yeah.
responded with your general opinions.
Yeah. So my general opinion is similar to you guys, where I can agree that Rise did not start off good at all. Like I thought when Rise came out and we played it, you think we went through all that content in 3 weeks, and that's only because we all were adults and we have schedules. So we had to find meetup times to actually play the game together. So I think if Rise came out back in college, we would have done that from beginning to so Rise was disappointing and it felt like shallow water. It didn't. There was no depth to it at all. That's my opinion. Rampage. They were called pages. Rampage. That tower defense kind of style was interesting when they advertised it, and it was interesting when I did like the first 3.
Yeah.
Then it fell off hard. That shit was horrible. It became a tedious task because the game made it necessary, especially if you needed a Bushi parts, which is the male version to Narwa, the blue. I guess they're what animals are they again? The seahorses.
I associate them with Chinese dragons. I don't know if that's.
They look like seahorses.
Maybe.
Hey, Pokemon Kingdra shaped the same way. So
they look like seahorses. I've always called them seahorses. But either way, the original way to fight Ibushi is that you have to do the rampage, and then an update later after Rise fell off for us. An update later made Ibushi, Narwa, and All Mother their own individual quests.
Yeah.
So, well, not really. Ibushi and Narwa was the dual quest. All Mother was her own quest. Master Rank is when Ibushi got his own quest, where all you fight is him, and that's it in Master Rank. So Sunbreak fixed that. Right? The end of Sunbreak introduced one of my top 5 favorite monsters in Monster Hunter, which is Valstrax. So I did play that. I did download that content, and I went back to it to fight Crossdrex when he released. I did make his armor, which was a metagame armor at the time, especially if you used great swords.
Yeah.
So for me, that was worth going back into. They had some the problem with Rise is that every time a new update would come out, I get excited, I'll do my research on it, and it's, oh, you can now dress your Palico as Sonic the Hedgehog.
Huh.
Or you can dress your dog, your Palamute, as Rush from Mega Man. Like, that's really the best y'all gonna do? Like, again, Rise came out during a bad time in the world. So maybe that did play a huge factor into it. A lot. So I guess there was a lot of variables that came into place for video games at that time when Rise came out, which probably ended up hurting more. But much like BlankaKong, I came into Sunbreak with a very skeptical feel to it. Now with Sunbreak's release, this feels like a Monster Hunter game. Like, even if it's been changed to fit those that are now coming into the franchise that wouldn't like the old style of Monster Hunter, which, we all here, because we know the old style, feel like, this is maybe too many quality of life changes. Who knows? Like, maybe I feel that way, or at least I feel like that sometimes.
I mean, I felt the game, it got harder because the damage numbers went up. So it's just like, okay, this is, especially for me with guns, okay, this is more likely to just one-shot me. But it wasn't because it felt difficult, it's just they turned the numbers up.
Yeah, the monsters hurt. But that's what I'm saying. Like, Sunbreak did a nice balance of it, right? Because when you fight anomaly monsters, and Kong is going to see that as he goes into the anomaly quest, like an Anoxom or the bird on regular master rank is not dealing near as much damage as the anomaly version of it. Those monsters hurt, especially when they do their little Zenogre Majin Vegeta combination of explosion thing, and you have the little energy balls that circle around them. That attack hurts. And it's also, I believe you can't recover out of it. Your character has to get up. You can't like wire.
Yeah, it's days. It puts you in a dazed state.
There you go. And then it gives you the anomaly debuff, or that whatever debuff that is called, where your potions heals you for less. So it's crazy, right? But Sunbreak, I think, fixed Sunbreak made all my doubts about this particular game, this particular iteration of Monster Hunter great. And I feel like when I looked into where they released their roadmap and what their expectation for the game is moving forward, plus what they're giving me already, I'm really excited about this game, and I really think now this game has a chance of being one of the better Monster Hunter games for other reasons as well. I can't compare it to Iceborne because Iceborne had its lifespan. We experienced its full lifespan, all its DLC, all its updates, all its balance changes. So right now, I won't say Monster Hunter Sunbreak is a complete game until Capcom has given us everything their initial on their plan for the game. Then I can compare it. But Fatalist fight in Iceborne to me is forever gonna be one of the best fights, one of the hardest fights, one of the most intricate fights in Monster Hunter that I've ever fought. So
I agree. I definitely agree.
Right. So, like I'm just saying that I have to give Sunbreak a chance in order for me to compare it to Iceborne.
Makes sense.
I can see that. That definitely makes sense. But also, I mean, it's gonna be really hard, I would feel, kind of like objectively comparing the two when Sunbreak or Monster Hunter Rise as a whole live out its expectancy because of what, in my opinion, World delivered. Like, it being that whole transition from the older graphics that we got to the new version of what Monster Hunter became. And also like the quality of life changes that they put within that game as well. It's going to be difficult, but can it be done? Absolutely.
When you say graphically, you mean like graphic wise, like the look of the game?
Not so much the look of it. I'm meaning more so like, okay, how the maps work, how we're not going through zones anymore, how we're utilizing certain aspects of the map to subdue monsters and hold them down, things like that. I don't mean as in like the aesthetics, because that's in my opinion, or I can speak for everybody here. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's like the last thing we look at when it comes to those types of games. We look at gameplay, we look at, functionality and how things work. um but yeah, given that Monster Hunter World provided a humongous change from like what we were known to or used to playing, from going to World to Rise, I feel like it's going to be a real tough um comparison, thinking about the two objectively as opposed to subjectively. I mean, objectively. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so how about this? So in Sunbreak's new big mechanical change was the inclusion of new silkbind skills, which were in the first game, but they gave I think at least two new ones to each weapon. And the biggest thing was the whole switch skill swap. So for those who maybe aren't up to Sunbreak yet and are playing base Rise, that's not in base Rise. So what the switch skill swap is, you have two scrolls. You have a red scroll and a blue scroll. And each of those scrolls have all your switch skill swaps for from how they pertain to rolling, in case of guns, the type of reloading you do, and the fancy skills that you see in all the trailers. Right, the long swords counters, the gun lances jet fucking propulsion engine, and the light bow guns swing to the side and do some massive dodge, and then shoot a machine gun to the, as this group has dubbed it, the Mega Man blaster shots that light bow gun gets now. So they added that whole new mechanic. So with the switch skill swap, you could switch those templates, those palettes, at any point, anytime you wanted to. So I guess, open question at everybody here: how did that add more depth to your gameplay? Did it not change your gameplay at all? Did it have a minor impact? Was it an annoyance? So I guess I'll speak for me really quickly. In the beginning, I thought it was really good because I felt I'd be switching the scrolls a lot. But once I got to end game and once I experienced certain armor skills that had direct impact in how my stats were affected depending on which scroll I used, I found myself not switching at all. But I do find myself using a lot of the new silk binds that they give, because it just, you know, one, they're fun to use. I think the rapid fire Mega Man Buster shots on light bowgun are just fun. They're not meta game, like they don't skyrocket my damage, but they're just fun to use. And they also increase my ability to ride the monster, which is a big thing in Monster Hunter Rise. So I can deal more damage when I'm playing solo, or get a ride state faster when I'm playing co-op. And that's more damage on the table. That's a faster hunt. So for me, I thought I would be switching back and forth, but I ended up just sticking to one scroll and basically utilizing the new silk binds that they gave for light bowgun, because that's pretty much my main weapon. So I just open the question to everybody here: how do we feel about the silk binding swap mechanic? Go.
I personally think that it's based on the weapon you use. Like I main greatsword. Um, greatsword doesn't need it at all, in my personal opinion. That's just me personally. How I feel. Greatsword doesn't need to switch its skills because it. Like okay, I could go with. There's two playstyles to greatsword right now. Um, that like when I look at other YouTubers and other content creators and try to get ideas from what they're doing. Um, it seems almost split. Like some people say, okay, well, let's have fun with the game and do elemental greatsword, right? So elemental greatsword is you use this new way of playing the greatsword where the attacks are faster, but they would constantly repeat itself. So you have the overhead swing where like the sword comes down on the monster's head. You can do that like 3 times. Then you have a spin attack. You can do that 3 times, and then you have like the guy is swinging the sword upwards. You can do that 3 times. You can change them up like your own little chain combos for the great sword. Now those attacks are extremely fast and they have high elemental value numbers to them, right? So that's that. If I go on with a fire greatsword against Gaz Harag, then it'll deal enough elemental multipliers to be a good elemental style play, which greatsword up until now was never a good elemental.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was never known for its elemental
Right.
prowess.
Never up until now. And is it on par with dual blades or insect blade or longsword? No, but it's better. Like you can do it now, and I've tried it, and it does work. Like my missions aren't really changing in time of the strong arm greatsword. It's a little slower, but the strong arm greatsword, which is basically you're abusing your counter to deal crazy numbers. Like just the other day, and I forgot to screenshot it to show you guys, I finally hit 4K damage on an anomaly ruffian's head. And it was just like, that blew my mind because I've never dealt 4,000 damage with a greatsword in any Monster Hunter game I've ever played ever. But it's a counter stance. The monster has to be willing to hit me. I have to be willing to risk taking damage, and my timing still has to be good on it. So some people say strong arm greatsword is the best kind of greatsword, and then other people say it's the elemental one to go with because element in this particular Monster Hunter is very important. So you don't really know, right? Like it's if you want to go both, I can go in with a dragon greatsword, have the elemental stance playstyle on the blue scroll, and then have the raw portion of the greatsword on the red scroll. And one of those monsters is between either Scorn Magnamalo or what's the other one? Dereliction.
Yeah.
One of those skills is what's going to boost, based on the scroll I'm in, is going to boost either playstyle. I could do that, but why bother? Like with the greatsword anyways, why bother? Because either one of them is going to get the job done. So for me to constantly switch between the two, I'm building a chore for myself that's unnecessary. However, on the flip side, I actually started using dual blades a little bit more, but I actually tried to start using the switch axe. And based on my research on the switch axe, it's almost kind of necessary to want to constantly switch your scrolls because all of switch axe's moves are important to the actual playstyle for switch axe. So now I'm in a situation where it's like, okay, well, I have to train, not have to, but it would be ideal to train myself to know what scroll I'm in so that I can get the best out of the switch axe weapon. And maybe there are switch axe pro users who would disagree with me, but that's just the research that I found from using switch axe, that people are actually switching, from blue scroll to red scroll because they're using pretty much all of the switch axe's skills. So I honestly think it's based on the weapon, and also based on what the player is willing to work with and what the player is not willing to work with. But what does Esoteric and BlankaKong think?
I would have to agree with that, and also add in an additional statement that is also dependent upon what armor skills you have as well. Because from what I saw, if I'm not mistaken, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, some armor pieces incorporate the use of switch skills. Well, not switch skills, but the act of switching the switch skills in order to activate certain things within the armor set. I think there was one that allows you to deflect attacks. There was another one, I think, I believe that builds attack. I know. I think it's Luda Garon. He's the one that has one of those things I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
if you switch your scroll just as a monster hits you, you'll avoid the damage and do an evasive roll.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
essentially
It's a parry.
ultimate evasion
Yeah.
from generations. Just a very toned down version, but it still does the same thing. Like you can counter roars, you can counter beams, quakes, literally anything.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So um yeah. So I'm saying that to say that it's pretty much situational. Like for example, me, I use the charge blade. That's my main weapon for this game, and I started finally using bows. As these guys have been shitting
Yeah,
on
it
me for.
happened in real life. The meme has officially died.
Yeah, so I finally started using bows. I think I'm getting a little more efficient with them. Um, but what I noticed is that the charge blade is versatile enough where I don't think the switch skills are needed. Because the the base weapon itself can pretty much do everything that I need to get the job done. Whereas I see myself switching with the bow because let's say if I'm doing solo missions, and I want to cut off a tail, I am going to use the switch skill, Butcher's Bind, to try to sever a tail or whatnot. But there's other skills within that slot, like such as focus shot and aerial aim, which I use aerial aim a lot because it allows me to propel myself in the air and shoot a volley of arrows, 3 volleys to be exact, on a monster's back or whatever. Um, so with the bow, I have to use the switch skill because I need to sever tails for parts. With the charge blade, I can stagger enemies, I could stagger monsters, I could sever tails, I can deal a humongous amount of damage. The weapon is just so versatile enough and it has all the utility I need that no matter what switch skill you put in there, it doesn't really matter. I would say the only necessity one is the forgot the name of it, but essentially what it does is it allows you to block a monster's attack, and once you block the monster's attack, it provides you full files, and full files are essential when it comes to utilizing the charge blade. But other than that, everything else is not really needed in terms of the switch skills. So I agree with Wolf. It's definitely based upon what I've been playing, is dependent upon the weapon. I guess with what Capcom was trying to do was that, some weapons will depend heavily upon it, others not so much. Um, but in my particular case and experience, my bow needs it, but the charge blade doesn't. And, hopefully whoever's watching the podcast will, tell me otherwise. I'm not the expert when it comes to these new features. But based upon what I've experienced, that's what I got.
Okay. I mean, that's the good thing about the skills is that you can you could be the type of player that relies on them heavily. You can be the type of player that uses them every now and then, or you can be the type of player that never uses them, and you guys can still clear the hunt in roughly the same time. Because there have been plenty of hunts when I've been hunting with you guys, and I've been using the light bowgun's new counter, which I think mostly every weapon got some form of counter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and sometimes I'm not paying attention to the spirit bugs that I have. So, I'm trying to be Dante, keeping it stylish and counter out of the way, not noting that I used my silkbind bugs and I die in one hit because at late stage game, everything just kills me in one hit. When I could have just done the old tried and true method of rolling the fuck out of the way and living. So, the switch skills kind of are a double edged sword, especially with light bowgun, I feel. But I mean, when you get that counter off and you see that sweet 300 damage, which for not for Wolf, that's just like a normal swing every Sunday. But for like a bow gunner, that's massive damage. That's peak damage. So I love their inclusion. I do dabble in them a little bit, but I've seen other videos of other hunters, especially longsword users, not to offend any longsword users out there, that they're just like switch skilling it up and they're just doing all this crazy weed shit. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's a lot. That's a whole lot.
there should have been a switch skill that prohibits them from sweeping their teammates, but whatever. What
Wow.
I what I usually do, Gunner, when it comes to the wire bugs, is that I keep one for my actual skill, and I keep the other for evasion, for emergency maneuvers. And the third one, when you do acquire it, it's whatsoever. Um, if I'm absolutely confident that we're demolishing the monster, I'll utilize both for my skills. But if it's a monster that's like not to be trifled with, I'll have one just for the skill, and then use one for evasion because the loading times are a bit different. For the charge blade, it takes a while when I use the skill, but when I evade, it's a lot quicker to build that wire bug in. So
Okay. For bowgun, it's different. The rapid fire pew pew buster gun move, that's on a medium charge, and the counter is on a quick or light, I think they call it. So technically, they come back super quick. So I'm always doing one or the other. And then there's that one point where the Rajang's doing the point blank beam, and
oh,
I don't have the bug for the counter, and my brain goes, "Oh, just counter," and my muscle memory just goes, "Oh, hit the counter button." But when I hit it, nothing happens because I don't have the bug, so I die when I could have easily rolled out of the way. So again, like we said, weapon dependent. So yours is slow, so you can build up that muscle memory with, okay, I've used this. I know this is not available to me for X number of seconds. Where me, it's just like, oh, it's up, it's up, it's up, it's up, it's up. I'm always hitting a switch skill. So
gotcha, gotcha.
different weapons, different play styles.
Yep, that makes sense. All right, so let's hear from Kong. What are your thoughts on the skills and the switching?
So I don't really use them. Um,
I knew he would say that.
I figured. I figured.
so here's the thing. All right, so there's two things I need to preface. I wanted you guys to get everything out because I know you guys would have the most to say and I would have the least. So, one, I'm a creature of habit. So once I find something that works, I just generally stick with it. I try not to venture too far out if I don't really need to. And two, I've always, and I play Hunting Horn for anybody listening, Hunting Horn and Hammer, but in this game I've just been primarily playing Hunting Horn. Uh, I don't even know what the new switch skills are for Hunting Horn, if there are any. I don't know.
Yes, they are.
And I currently don't care, right? Like I have Earthshaker, which is the huge attack, does big damage, and it does a lot of stun because it's like he jabs the hunting horn into the monster's body with a kunai, and then the kunai explodes and causes like a big like sound wave, which does damage and also does like stun damage. So it's really good for like KOing and just DPS in general, and that eats up two bugs. So I usually
Damn.
use my bugs for that attack, for damage and for stun. And then if I have the bug and I find myself in a tough spot, like if I get hit with like Magnamalo's, dive attack or whatever, and he's gonna follow it up, and I have the skill bind bug, I'll pop it to get out of the way, obviously, because I can't roll in midair. Um, so I'll use it in situations like that. But other than that, I don't really fuck with it. Like the switch, the red scroll, blue scroll means nothing to me. I was like, nope, I have one skill move, and that's it. So I should experiment with it and just see what else is available. I just haven't made the time to. Um, I just don't have a lot of time. So when I do have time to play, I just want to get in there and hunt and just play the game. So that's kind of my reasoning behind not really using the blue scroll, red scroll. Also, I'm not a fan of all the hype, flippy do shit. Like, I don't, even in Generations, like, if we go back,
That's
uh,
true.
and there was like Hunter style, which is just general Monster Hunters, like just plain old Monster Hunter, and then there's like all the other shit. I don't even remember the styles, right? And I remember
Valor
most of
style.
y'all, sure,
Bushido.
sure,
Adept style.
Yeah.
cool, yep, I'll
Damn,
take
we
your word
just
for
named
it.
all 4 styles.
I remember the style that I used, which was Hunter, which was classic Monster Hunter, and that's how I played, and I did just fine. So that's the kind of player I am. I'm just really grounded and just give me Monster Hunter. That's it. No fluff, no flips, no particle effects, no counters, none of no. Hit monster, monster die, monster hit you, you die. That's it. That's Monster Hunter to me. So some people are gonna hear this and go, "Wow, this guy's a real fucking idiot," and that's fine. Like, you could have that opinion. Um, like, I'm gonna sleep fine at night because I'm having fun with the game, and I'm playing it the way I want to play it. And you know what? Haven't heard any complaints with the people I play. I carry my weight and I do pretty well, all considering. So
Yeah.
it's
I
all
mean,
good.
it's
We're just too good of a team,
You
man.
know what it is. It's called skill. That's
Yeah.
what it's called. But I
that
do have.
and real proper game balance too, because the fact that you that Kong can still play just wing weapon, do damage, heal when hurt, and still be successful shows that Monster Hunter didn't rely so heavily on the switch skill mechanics that it is impossible to play without using them. I
Yeah,
just
That's
consider
true.
that
that's a
good
good.
balance.
Yeah, that's good balance for me. I didn't even look at it like that. Um, Kong, the only thing that I know about hunting horn, if you even care to try that attack, is there's this attack that's apparently really good, and it's like it plants some little orb or egg-like object onto the ground, and it's supposed to help out the hunting horn and be really, strong for the hunting horn. That's all I know about it. I don't know what the
I don't
actual
think that's
skills
new. I mean,
are.
if it's the same skill I'm thinking of, it was in the base Rise game. It was like beads of resonance or something like that. And I think that extends. I could be fucking wrong because, like I said, I've only used Earthshaker, but I think that like extends your songs like duration, or it like um increases the range and like how far away you can be from me to receive the buff or something like that. And it's like, no, I just want the damage, so I just go Earthshaker. Also, to throw this out there for anybody listening is like, well, how does this guy not know about the hunting horn strategy that every hunting horn player is using? I don't watch Monster Hunter content creators really. I don't care to because I just
Oh
don't.
shit.
I just don't. There's nothing against those guys. Like, I just don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of them kind of play, you know, it's metagame or nothing, and I don't really subscribe to that belief. I get like it's fine if you do, but that's not for me. So
Yeah.
I don't watch
Yeah.
any of that content, and it tends to spoil um content that I haven't experienced yet. And I'm that guy who likes to experience the game firsthand. So I just stay away from a lot of that content. So if there's any like hunting horn strategy, if I'm playing hunting horn air quotes super wrong because my DPS is just not as good as it could be, then that's why, right? Because I'm not aware of the strategies and I don't,
Listen,
I do them
Man,
right.
He could have shaved
that
one whole
that
minute
shit.
off the hunt
it,
if he
it,
used this skill.
Listen, that shit is all subjective. Play how you want to play.
yeah,
We get the job done as a competent group. We get it done not only actually done, but we get it done effectively as well. Playing the way that we play. So I can say that some of us do look into that, which is perfectly fine. Some of us don't, which is perfectly fine. As long as we're all in unison, pulling our weight, doing the shit that we need to do to subdue the monster, that is it. I don't care about shaving off half a second because I ain't have this skill or, yes, it helps, but whatever.
Well,
Like
I
I
also
don't
want
need
to
to.
say, like, listen, it's the speedrunning side of Monster Hunter community. Like that shit is impressive, and I'm not trying to shit on those guys. Like that shit is cool, and
Absolutely, absolutely.
I could not do it. I not that I couldn't physically muster the ability to do it, but I just couldn't do it because I'm not interested in doing it. I
Yeah,
enjoy
Yeah.
Monster Hunter for what it is.
yeah,
I'm not a super casual Monster Hunter player, but I'm also not like a Team Dark Side style Monster Hunter player where I'm like killing the monster in absolute seconds. Like I'm not that guy either. I'm somewhere in the middle, and I'm okay with that. So, and I know there's gonna be like there might be a guy out there who might comment like, "Oh, this guy," and so I'm addressing that guy. Like, I'm not that player, and if you're that
yeah,
player, cool. Whatever. Do you? I'm gonna do me. So
yeah.
I don't think that that's. I don't think that what I love about Rise is that. Well, what I love about Monster Hunter in general is that there is no real wrong way to play. There is ways in where people could do better in their play, in their gameplay, but I don't think there's a real wrong way to play. If the person is competent, then you can see that with the armor set they're using, for example, or how they are are using their armor skills along with the weapons that they're using, or how they're fighting the monster, or are they getting the job done? If you want to metagame because you are that type of person who want to see those numbers, that's okay. And if you're not, then that's okay too. Just my don't come into a lobby that I'm playing with freaking, Knockout King and you're using a longsword.
that's
Don't
where I
do that.
draw the line. That's where I draw the line. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
what are we doing here, bro? Like, like I'd rather you come in naked and like flex with no skills than come in with fucking,
Skills that isn't going to help you in any way, shape, or form
stamina
based on the
drain,
weapon you're using.
and you're over here using, I don't know, bow gun or something. It's like, what? Like
Yeah.
that's crazy.
It,
Let's get it straight first. Unless you have like a charm that has very good slots and it has that extra skill, you just can't get rid
well,
of it.
no. What I mean is, I don't mean it like that because that's happened with some of my builds. Some of my builds have pierced up using greatsword, and that's because they're armor pieces that the greatsword needs that has gunner skills on it
Yeah,
or gunning skills on
that's
it.
Yeah,
So
different.
that's
I know
fine.
what you mean. I was just,
But
addressing the
but
viewers, letting
I
them
don't
know
mean
like,
like if you have freaking if you're going in with longsword and you have polished protection, attack up, crit eye, elemental, I don't know, and then all of a sudden you have spread up 3. I would understand that because chances are that in order for you to get the other DPS skills that you needed to, like you have to deal with spread up 3 on your set. That's okay. I get that. But you coming in with freaking dual blades and you have knockout king, stamina drain, wire bug whisperer 3, even though wire bug whisperer is not a bad skill now. Um and freaking, I don't know, defense +7. The fuck are you doing? Get out. Get out. Get out. Like, I'm sorry. Like, get out. Like, you're right now is about to cost me a game because you're not doing anything for me right now. I play how you want to play, but be cautious. Be conscious of that you are playing a multiplayer game and your play style in this multiplayer game, if you get online, is going to affect other people's time. That's my thing. That's why one of the reasons why I'm always big on just trying to be the best that I could be when I play Monster. There are armor sets that I have that is game. There is armor sets that I have that isn't metagame, but I just like the fun of it. Like nobody does wide range sword and shield anymore. Nobody does that. And there are times where I find myself online where it's like this armor set that no one will ever suggest for sword and shield is coming in handy because the rest of my team don't know how to stay alive. Or everybody wants to run dereliction, which is an extremely dangerous skill to run, especially when you're playing online with other people.
oh
So
yeah,
me popping a potion here and there and healing everybody, that's not ideal in terms of sword and shield metagame, but it works for me as someone who's getting online to play with other So I say that to say, play how you want to play, but if you are going to go online, be cautious, conscious of those that you are affecting when you get online, because your play style is going to affect those other people. That's all I'm saying.
It's such a slippery slope, right? Like,
Yeah.
you say that, like, you can play however you want to play, but don't fuck up my gameplay, is basically what you're saying. And I remember, like, back in, I think it happened a lot in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate with Gunner, because you would play light bowgun back in the day, and you would get kicked out of the room the moment you
Oh
walked
yeah,
into the room with a light
that
bowgun.
happened to me a couple of times.
Yeah, because back then, if you had a Gunner weapon on, your armor stat or your defense stat was halved. Period.
Yeah.
Like that's how it was back then. If you were a gunner, you had half the defense of any blade master. Period. Like your literal number stat was half.
Half. If you have
Um,
200 defense, you're running in with 100.
Yep. And so, a lot of people would play, bowgun or bow and die super consistently and super fast because, they're fucking glass cannon. Or not even a cannon in some instances. They're just
glass.
They're just glass that can pumes, a few arrows here and there. So it's just funny how that happens.
Yeah, I remember back in 4U, and this is text chat only, no voice chat, and you had to use the 3DS's horribly slow touchscreen keyboard to communicate, and you had a character limit. It's like fucking Twitter, so you can only talk so much. I remember I was told once, if point blank, change your weapon, and I said no, and I got booted, or I was disconnected from the lobby.
Can't hurt your feelings. Can't say that you were kicked. So yeah, I think the Sunbreak update is very, very, very good. I think also maybe we're a little spoiled with how Monster Hunter has been distributed in the West, because we would always get the typically we would always get the ultimate versions of certain games.
That's
And
true.
so I think well, I'm not going to speak for y'all. I think my expectation for a base Monster Hunter game is a little skewed, where I expect more content than I should, and that's a personal problem that I should address. So maybe I was being too harsh on Rise, but I don't feel that I am. But I'll admit that maybe I was. But
No,
I could say the Sunbreak expansion has been very, very good.
I mean, I I agree, but disagree to some degree. Um, like
How
I
many
feel like
times can we use degree in a sentence? So
I'm saying that I feel like with Rise, we got a nice number of monsters. It's just the roster was a bit lackluster. Like for us to have so many raptors, and like for Giroctodos to be urgent, it was like, come on. You guys have a mass amount of species to work with. Like we could have had Zamtrios over Giroctodos. We could have had like anything to replace the heavy number of raptors we had. Like I don't
They could have
think it
brought
was.
Cuckoo back.
I would have loved to see Cuckoo, especially in this game because the maps are big and most of the time the monsters are fighting each other. No, I'm sorry, not Cuckoo. I was thinking of Kuropekus. Okay.
I was about to say,
Um,
like, you're really justifying Cuckoo right now. Like,
no. I would have loved to see Kuropeku, not Cuckoo. Cuckoo would have been
here's
fine,
here's
but
the
whatever.
problem. Here's the problem with Kuopeko being in these new games. These new systems is Kuopeko. It already is Kuopeko. Kuopeko was supposed to summon big creatures while we're fighting him, who's a big creature. That at that time when Kuopeko came out, that was like mind fucking blown. Like, oh my gosh, Kuopeko summoned Devil Joe. So we got a boss monster summoning another boss monster. These monsters run to each other.
yeah.
Well,
We chasing them down,
Or
and
you
they're
can,
running to each other.
or you can literally ride them like a horse to the other monster.
Or to the other monster. Like that. What I'm saying is that in Monster Hunter World, introduced what Kuopeko was special. It made that a norm. Like Kuopeko had nothing else going for it. It wasn't a special creature in any way. All it did was summon boss creatures while it was around. And half the time it summoned Devil Joe. Devil Joe would turn on the Kuopeko. So it was just like, so you summoned a boss monster that's gonna eat you. You
Well,
summoned your own predator. Right. Like it didn't make any sense, right? But now that World came out, when World came out and introduced that, turf wars and monsters that recognize each other in the same living space, Kuopeko became a monster that if he ever returns, he has to do some wild shit.
I
Like
think they
he
would have
has
to
to
rework them.
yeah,
Well,
he has to summon Teostra while we're fighting Seregios and Rathalos at the same time.
well,
Like he has to summon some crazy shit. Like, I don't know, Fatalis comes down and blows the field up with Kuopeko because he is the game. The game does this already. He doesn't do anything else special. Why do you think Gypseros never came back? Because
It's
Pookie
funny you say
Pookie is
that
Gypseros.
because I actually don't like the writing mechanic personally, and I don't like how the monsters behave around each other because
yeah.
now it feels like they're programmed to kind of force the waiver writing on us. It's like they're presenting on a silver platter. It's like, please, use the monster to like aid you, and it's like, I don't like I personally don't like it. I know I know a lot of people love it, and a lot of people enjoy the fact that the game is giving you options for damage and stuff, which I get. But like for me, it's like these monsters should be hostile toward each other, or they should be working together. Like there needs to be dynamics and like how these things interact with each other. I think World did it the best so far.
And Teostra.
I think World did it the best so far, and that's where they introduced turf wars. Now it's rare that you see turf wars. Now
Yeah.
you kind of go into an area, and the monsters will be just standing next to each other, not doing anything. They're just chilling. They're just like,
Yeah.
hey man, what's up? Yeah, this water's pretty good. Like they're just relaxing. And then the moment you enter, that's when they start to like, oh, I gotta be doing something. And so they'll either like run at you or run away, or like it's just like this feels
It's
wrong.
It's
a
like I
thing.
It
haven't.
feels very gamey.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I haven't used the dung bomb in like God knows how long. I remember old Monster Hunter, like I had anytime there was a monster that was a threat,
Oh,
dung bomb had to be in your inventory.
Yeah.
Otherwise you were fucked.
mark
You
my
know?
word, next Monster
Um
Hunter, that item's disappearing.
So it's a pointless item now.
Yeah.
it
Like
is.
I don't really see the point of it. But what I think the criticism that Turf War got, and I may be wrong, but to my understanding, and these are people who, the group of people who care about their time, their valuable time playing video games. The thing with Turf Wars, the biggest criticism to my understanding that Turf Wars got, anyways, was that yeah, the monsters are taking damage from the turf war, but the players themselves had to watch it happen and couldn't be a part of it. So they felt like it was too long of a process to be a part of.
Wow, that is
I making sense in what I'm saying.
No, I've heard that
Okay.
they'll crunch the numbers and go, well, in the time it took this turf war to happen for Rathalos to deal 1,000 damage to Nergigante, I could have done 2,000 damage.
All right, well, here's my
I
response to that. Go suck my fucking dick. Because it's a 30-second animation. Get over
yeah.
yourself. Like, it's not that serious. It's a cool fucking feature. Just accept it for what it is. Just like I could accept that the fucking longsword can do a flip-de-doo counter and do, like, 10,000 damage. Okay, I guess that's a thing, right? I accept it. It is what it is. And I put on flinch-free level 1 to deal with y'all motherfuckers. So there are something you gotta take the good and the bad. That criticism is valid because it's somebody's opinion, but I think it's silly.
just don't agree with it. That's all.
And I think it's a
silly.
bit I think it's a bit flawed too because in regards to that, like while they're doing that, it's a way for you to heal up. It's a way for you to sharpen your blades. It's a way for you
Oh,
to prep right
that
before.
isn't. That's how you play Monster Hunter, but that is not by general mass Monster Hunter is played.
Oh, they're
So
now coming in,
right,
please.
right. Those people who are the criticism that Turf War got, and this is just my understanding of the criticism behind it. The criticism that Turf War got were from players that necessarily weren't concerned on healing or sharpening their weapon, especially in Monster Hunter World, because Monster Hunter World kind of took away the use of Mega Potion and the use of sharpening in general. Because with Teostra's skill, where as long as you're hitting critical, you're not losing sharpness, and then Bill's having 100% crit, and then augmenting your weapon to heal yourself as you hit the monster, nobody was considering in like that whole factor of sharpening your weapon and taking a
Yeah,
mega
but
potion
that isn't most
was
players
out of
though.
the
That
norm.
isn't
Right.
majority of players.
I,
Yeah,
I'm, that,
that's
that's not my argument. My argument isn't that that these players um, are common amongst the population that plays Monster Hunter. It's just that the criticism that Turf Wars got was because of all of this. It's like you gave me an ability to have 100% uptime. So why are you giving me 30 seconds of count?
Man, I don't want to
That's
hear
what
that.
they're meant.
I don't want to hear that. You know why? Because back in the day, I'm gonna sound like an old head. Back in the
Rock
day,
Loaf flying
we had
around.
we had fucking load screens in every area. We had monsters digging and flying in the fucking air forever. Okay, we had motherfuckers going from one zone to the next. We had to use paintballs. We didn't know where the fucking monsters were. We had to use psychoserms. Hey, look it up. Psychoserm Monster Hunter. You'll learn what it is.
I
Because it's not in the
completely
game
forgot
anymore.
about that.
Okay? That back
Yep.
then, dude, the game wasted your time. The game
Yeah.
totally wasted your time. Okay?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
now people want to complain about, oh, I lost 30 seconds of my DPS because of the turf war. You suck my dick, bro. You don't know what time wasting looks like.
Yeah.
Get out of here. You
Fight a
want
Rockalos back then.
you want to talk about time wasting? Go play Pokemon.
I
Go play Pokemon Platinum and hit a Chansey with a fucking, focus punch, super effective, and watch that HP bar go down. In Platinum Original, that's wasting your time. Turf War, nah, I don't want to hear that. But anyway, we're straying too far from Rise and the
Right.
base topic, I think.
But it's still a valid conversation to have because that is why Rise kicked back on Turf Wars and instead, had it just where the monster you ride the monster to the other monster, they fight a little bit, and that.
I'm not a fan of it.
That's fine.
I'm not a fan of it, but I'm
I-
okay with it existing.
I like the wire bug mechanic, and I think Gunner's gonna agree with me on this. I think the wire bug mechanic beats the whatever that mechanic was from Iceborne.
What?
Uh,
Clutch Claw?
Yeah, hell
Yes.
yeah. Oh god. Any day of the
I
week.
I
I personally enjoyed Clutch Claw. I mean, unpopular opinion, I liked it.
Yeah, because you had a heavy weapon, so you can get the broken status in one shot.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was pointless. Like the clutch claw to weaken the monster area for a few minutes.
Well, let's be
Which
clear.
is-
The Clutch Claw, I don't think was a bad addition. Tenderizing, I think, is the problem.
Yeah, okay, we can make that. Yeah, we can make that
Okay,
distinction.
fair. That's
Yeah,
fair.
Because shooting paintballs and the different pine cones to maybe flinch. I mean, some of us here have done that at a clutch time of a Tailstra Supernova, and you could call that fucking retarded. I don't know how a pine cone is stopping Tailstra from doing a Supernova, but hey, it saved my life a couple times.
Poked him hit him in the eye, and he was like, "The fuck was that? I didn't expect that."
Yeah.
Oh,
Although
Kong's right. Yeah, tenderizing
the tenderizing was
can
horrible.
go
and
die in a fire.
I never, even though I used Greatsword, I never cared to get on the monster to then, tenderize its part, like just break the monster part, or just damage the monster enough, like it was in older Monster Hunter, but like it is now in Rise. I just felt like they played on that part a little too much, and I didn't like it to be.
But to
the-
bring it, go ahead.
Yeah, but as far as like being able to shoot the flash bomb,
The super ammo.
higher, right, like or have like the using the ammo to drop environments down on the monster, which Rise does not have. I don't think it does. Maybe it does, and we just haven't discovered it yet. But,
Actually, it in one map it does. You can hit like a rock that's attached. I think it's in the jungle, the old new jungle that we got for Sunbreak, there's a rock, kind of like World, where you can hit it and um it'll fall on the monster and bonk it on the head.
Yeah, they have
Okay.
some environmental hazards. They're just not as easily accessible because we don't have the slinger ammo anymore. So, um, it becomes oh my God, this is a nice statue. I'm sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent there. But yeah, that's the reason why they have quite a few environmental hazards. Some
Oh,
of them rely on monster riding as well. Like when you bump into the things that look like cannons, I don't know if they're bugs or whatever. Some of them shoot at you, some of them explode.
well,
Uh,
no, that I knew because we do that in our quests, in our missions. But I mean, like, you know, like in the volcano area in Iceborne, there's that, you know, that crystallized site. There's the crystals that can fall on the monster and turn them over for us
Mhm.
to get free damage. Like, that's really cool. That was
Yeah.
a nice, unique way of implementing the environment to help the hunter. Rise kind of lacks that, at least until now, what you guys told me. Now I want to know if there are other maps that can do it and we just never used it. But like running the monster into the bugs and then the bugs attack them, that's an interesting aspect, but it's like, why aren't the bugs hostile to begin with? Why do they wait to get attacked? I mean, that's whatever. That's me being overly analytical. Um, but my point is that the clutch claw for that was really cool. Tenderizing the monster part based on the weapon you have, really dumb. I didn't like it. I didn't use it, even though my weapon could do it in one shot. I still didn't feel like it was something that I should be doing
It
to
took away
begin with.
it took away from the hunt, from the core
Yeah,
gameplay loop. It did. It did.
yeah.
So, anyway, any closing thoughts, guys? We should probably wrap up.
Oh, okay.
Oh, go ahead. I'll go after.
I'll say my closing points, which it may be an unpopular opinion, because of the changes that I've gotten to my personal favorite time weapon in Monster Hunter. The speed that it got, the accessibility that it got, the new mechanics that it got to make my great sword play better. Uh, Due to, you know, a lot of the returning monsters and what Sunbreak is shaping up to be, and Lunagrand's inclusion as one of the coolest monsters ever to be introduced in Monster Hunter series, in my personal opinion. Plus adding in a monster from Monster Hunter Frontier. Hopefully they add more. I'm I will bet my money that for me at the end of Sunbreak, it's gonna be one of the best Monster Hunter games ever. That's my rant.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I think with what we've seen of their roadmap, actually adding monsters instead of quests that give me a finger gun pose, that's actual content in my like meaningful content. Because content is content, right? That is the definition of content. But I'm talking about meaningful content. So I'm looking forward to seeing returning monsters added, Wolf said, maybe some new frontier monsters, since they've established a precedent that they will put them into mainline Monster Hunter games now. And for me, more monsters, more new monsters means more layered armor, which is a reason for me to keep going, so I can look how I want to look and look badass doing it, because I'm a huge fan of layered armor. Is the best mechanic introduced in Monster Hunter, bar none. Don't at me about it. So, you know, I think Monster Hunter's future, or Rise's future, Monster Hunter's fine, but Rise as the individual game is, with what they're showing us now with the August update coming out, like the amount of content they put into just that August update, it's going to change armor sets, weapon sets. It's going to add new monsters, a monster I personally never fought before. So that's a whole new experience for me personally. And if they keep up that road and kind of, end Sunbreak with a bang, maybe, Crimson Fatalis, White Fatalis, a brand new Elder or a Frontier Elder. I mean, it's already, by then, it will far and away surpass base Sunbreak and be a perfect addition to the Switch PC version of Monster Hunter that we have currently.
Yeah, I can agree with those things that you guys mentioned. In my case, I feel like they definitely delivered for the most part. A couple of things they definitely can work on, but overall, they delivered from the base game. Um, as you guys know, I'm very old fashioned, so I don't really look up like new shit that's coming. I just receive it as it goes. I believe in the element of surprise. So I'm just waiting to see uh, what comes down. Hopefully, we get some more of the returning monsters that you guys spoke about in the prior Monster Hunter discussion. Hopefully, we get some more ginormous monsters. I feel like Guys McGowan was a really nice implement as opposed to the other gimmick fights that we had. It was well thought out, well done. Maybe we'll get another Safijiver. Maybe we'll get some collabs like Behemoth again. Hopefully not Behemoth. No, I'm not dealing with him again. But hopefully we get something like equivalent to that. Um, and hopefully we get like monsters on the difficulty of Fatalist, because I feel like Fatalist was the best way to end Monster Hunter World. Like it again, I feel like it's going to be on the minds of everyone who's played World. I've heard discussions about people who still haven't beaten that fight, and I felt really bad for them. But yeah, I'm looking forward to what they're going to deliver. It looks pretty promising, and I'll be there for the ride if they continue to do what they're doing.
True that.
Yep. So, my closing thoughts are similar to you guys. I think Sunbreak is a great addition to like the plethora of the collection of Monster Hunter games that we've gotten over the last 15 years. Um, I'm excited to see the new content. And also, as much criticism as I give Capcom and Monster Hunter and, the developers and stuff, I want to thank Capcom and the people behind the Monster Hunter development for not being, sleazebags with their business practices and not charging us for each additional update and introducing loot boxes and gacha mechanics, because they could have done that a long time ago and they never did.
True.
And
So true.
and
Yeah,
I think that needs to be addressed and it needs to be praised, because more companies should follow suit and not abusing their customer base. So thank you, Capcom and the Monster Hunter team, for being, fantastic developers and artists and composers and programmers, and just, for giving us this great game that I truly love. And I will continue to support as long as as long as we're respected as consumers, and as long as we're given something that's true to what this franchise has been built up to be. You will always have my support, 100%. My collection of games, statues, cards, posters, shirts, the list goes on and on, I think proves that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I'm not a pure Monster Hunter hater. I'm actually quite the opposite. So with that being said, I want to thank the anybody who spent the time listening to us fucking nerds talk about this game about electric dragons and all this other craziness. Because you didn't have to, but hopefully you got some enjoyment out of it. And hopefully you listen to more of our stuff and interact with us in the comments. Like the video if you enjoyed it, dislike if you didn't. Subscribe. We do podcasts every week. We publish every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard. We also do 2-minute reviews, so check us out for that stuff. They usually populate every Monday, but our schedule has been a little inconsistent as of late, so apologies for that. But hopefully we'll get back on it soon. We also stream, so I stream under BlankaKong on Twitch. I haven't been streaming as of late, but follow me there so you know where I go live. Follow Mr. Esoteric on the main channel, Logical Gamers on Twitch TV. He streams every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. And follow him. He definitely has a more consistent presence on Twitch, so definitely follow and check out his content. We're also on social media, so we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We have a TikTok. We also run a Discord. for community engagement. All those links will be provided in the description down below. So we hope to see you there. Thank you guys for a great conversation. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good night.
Great.
Later.
Thank you.
Here.